Let's see here. Get myself situated again. While the rest of you all are probably in bed sleep, got a hangover, or whatever. Y'all over there chilling. I'm still working. Today is actually my Friday. So after today, I get my little 3 days of rest. And I am so looking forward to it because it's been a long week, honey, and I put in my hardest. Yes, I have. So anyway, I woke up this morning and grabbed my phone, and the first thing that I see on YouTube is I'm still subscribed to Sansa Ray's channel, and the first thing I see is a notification that later on today at 9 a.m., Rue will be interviewing Sansa Ray's best friend and talking about the men who ultimately pushed her, harassed her, and beat her down every day on social media. And some of the big names were put in the title. So I'm definitely going to be tuned in to find out what's going on with that. But I did see the big T, Tommy Sotomayor's name up there, Minister Jab, and I don't know the other gentleman's name that was in the title, but if you go straight to her page, you'll see the names, the three big names that they put out there. So those must have been the main ones. And I know that yesterday I did talk a little bit about black women, also, not being innocent in this whole internet bullying thing. I did talk about that yesterday as well, and that still stands. We are complacent as well. We are just as bad, if not worse, than the men, because we also participate in the bullying. So, I am very interested to know, exactly what happened with her because, like I said, I admired Sansa Ray. A lot of people think that she shared too much of her life, and she probably did, share quite a bit. But at the same time, it was needed. You got people on social media that are just afraid to be themselves. And I saw her as being a person that just, was candid. She wanted to put her life out there and use it as a cautionary tale and something to motivate and uplift other women in her situation. So I admired her for that. Hey, Skinny Boy, what's going on? Skinny Boy K in the house. Yeah, I'm up early, and I see you're up early too, so this must be both of our times. Let's see here. What am I doing? Oh, yeah. So I'm trying to get myself together here with this truck, doing my little pre-trip and getting my computer work done. And I'm about to peel out of this yard, y'all. But yeah, so that was the first thing I saw when I got up this morning, and I was like, wow. So it was mainly men that put her in that depressed mindset. I'm not going to say that they ultimately drove her to end her life because we still don't yet know what happened. So I'm not going to make any assumptions until I hear the story coming from her best friend, because everybody has their theories as to what went on. But we need to hear from the people who were actually involved in her life, who were there. But like I was listening to another YouTuber. I was in his chat room. It's a mostly male dominated platform. And I saw men going into the chat room, and they were discussing Sansa Ray towards the end of that chat. And I saw in the chat box where the people were talking to each other, I saw different men mentioning Sansa Ray, and they were not mentioning her in a good light at all. Somebody actually had the nerve to put into the chat, "She's dead, and I hope she stays dead." And this is the mentality that Sansaray was probably dealing with, the sickness of some of these people online. The fact that someone would even think to type something like that out. She's dead, and I hope she stays dead. I know it's difficult to moderate your chat room when you're the host of a large platform, when you have a lot going on. But some of these people really need to watch who they're making moderators on their channels. I'll just put that out there. Because this fella, he's a fairly new YouTuber. He has less than, I think he has approximately 1,000 subs at this time. And I see that he got some people that he has on his moderator list that perhaps he needs to take their wrenches away. I'll just throw that out there because a lot of these moderators are sick individuals. And I see that these people are not vetting properly who they're trusting with a wrench. These people are just giving anybody a wrench. But yeah, I saw that comment yesterday, and it just took me aback. There are some pretty evil, demonic people out here. I'll just put it like that. And we definitely need to be looking out for those types. Now, what I'm predicting from this whole situation with Sansaray, because I said this in my community tab. I said, a lot of these black men out here, talking down on black women, they are going to reap what they sow. They just going to keep on keeping on until something happens. And I said this in my community tab. And this was well before Sansaray's passing. But I do believe that her family, if they can prove that this woman was being harassed and bullied online by these people, they will definitely have a case. And see, it's going to take people getting sued, people going to jail before they stop. It's going to take something drastic to happen before they stop. Unfortunately, because see, if you just, before anything bad happens, you try to warn people, hey, if you keep harassing people, if you keep dogging people, putting them down, doxing them, putting their personal information out there, talking about their children, talking about their families, you're going to end up in jail. Something bad is going to happen to you. If you try to pre-warn them before the bad stuff happens, they don't listen. Now, once again, I don't know what Sansaray's best friend is going to reveal in her interview with Rudemp, but I will say this. If I was the family, if that was my daughter, and she took her life because some asshole was harassing her online, oh, I would definitely be going with both fists and feet to the ground. I would have everything in me committed to ending that person's career the way they ended my child's life. Skinny Boy says karma is real though. Oh, and it's always just. Exactly. Shalom, TP Judah. How are you today? So, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for some of these people to get it. That it's not okay. It's not okay for you to sit up here and take serious things that's going on in a person's life and make that the subject of your ridicule of this person. People are very sensitive about their children, their relationships, and people that they love. They're sensitive about that sort of thing. And everybody is not playing with a full deck. Everybody's not emotionally well. So you don't know who you're dealing with. But I do know that Sansa Ray was beautiful. Even as a BBW, she was beautiful. I remember seeing her before, she had the children. I think she had just had the one daughter, but she was still slender and model-esque. She had that model shape, very pretty face. And I think after that second child, she kind of, blew up a little bit, became a little bit more curvier, more BBW-ish, but she was still beautiful. And I don't know, if that had a lot to do with it as well. The fact that, her body changed after she had that baby. But I do know that postpartum depression is real, and it could last 2 to 3 years after you have the baby. So here this woman is. She's being candid with her life. She is becoming a baby mama in real time. It's like a reality show. Her channel was very much like a reality show because she did not hold too much back from her audience. And she was very candid with everyone. And so in her doing this, these online bullies used her candor and weaponized it against her unjustly. Now, once again, you're dealing with a woman that just had a baby in real time, and she's having issues with the father. She's dealing with that on top of being a single mother already. And now you all are sitting up here wanting to beat this woman into the ground. This is what I was saying yesterday about black people talking without thinking. Black people always want to talk on somebody else's life and don't know the first thing about that person. Just like yesterday when I was on that panel and someone brought up the fact that I failed at marriage, not knowing that my husband is deceased. See, this is what I'm talking about. Black people always running their mouth, yapping off, and not knowing the full story. You're so busy trying to put a person down that you don't even know the person. And I'm going to say this, a lot of times it's the men that do this. Now, as far as like jumping off the bridge and, going on and on about a person's life and you don't even know them, I find that men do that to black women more so than anything. Now, I will give black women credit. When we go at you, we gonna go and we gonna research your whole life history first, and then we'll weaponize it against you. But what black men tend to do, black men tend to hold on to anger about a woman that hurt them a long time ago in the past, and then every woman becomes that woman. So no matter what your actual history and background is, they're going to approach you like you're that woman that hurt them. And so that's when you start getting these sociopathic arguments from these guys when they want to start calling you a baby mama, and maybe you ain't even got no kids. Then I've seen women have arguments with these men online, and all of a sudden these men will all of a sudden in a rage. Yeah, I bet you got 6 or 7 kids at home. And the woman is sitting there like, what? I don't have children. I've seen that. I've seen these men project other women that they've dealt with onto women that they don't even know. They do this. And then even after being corrected, because they can't be wrong, they can't be corrected, they'll tell you that you're lying and continue on with the defamation of character. And see, this is why, when you try to warn these people that if they continue to do these types of things, something bad is going to happen to them. I don't feel sorry for them when they start getting these lawsuits, when they start getting demonetized, when they start getting threatened with prison time. Because if you keep poking and poking and poking at the lion, you're going to eventually get bitten. You're going to get eaten up. You're going to get devoured. But you don't believe that the lion claw is sharp until you're in the clutches. And so I said this a long time ago. I said some of these brothers are going to reap what they sow. Tommy made a whole career off of bashing on black women. And maybe finally, the chickens will be coming home to roost. Oh, hey, the one, the only Cookie Monster. What's up? Oh my God, I am so honored to have you here in my chat. Goodness, she says you're a genuine person, Faith. So you're mirroring that unto individuals on this platform that do not have a genuine bone in their bodies. What I see is a legion of fugazi black women acting like they all of a sudden care about a woman they hated. It's a fiend compassion as well as outrage. I agree, Cookie Monster. Now, as far as the people that you're talking about, and I don't mention names on my channel, but I know exactly who you're referring to, starting with the N and the C. And I've seen those two in particular in WP. They are women that I've seen tearing down other black women on a regular basis. And, nothing, escapes my watch. I watch everybody. And when I watched your channel, I did see genuineness in what you were doing and what you were saying to the ladies. And that's the reason why I went onto your channel and I felt the need to apologize to you, because I did have you wrong. You did put out the receipts and you showed everybody that you were correct in what you were saying. So I do want to also sit here and issue an apology to you, because I was wrong about you, sister. You are sincere. But like I said, a lot of these black men and these sisters that are out here on these YouTube streets tearing down people's images, not knowing who they're talking about, not knowing the actual individuals, going into these people's private lives, pulling out information, they are going to reap what they sow. Thank you, Cookie Monster. Thank you so much. They're going to reap what they sow. And I said this a long time ago. When I first went on to a certain YouTuber's channel, and she was in a similar situation because of her friend outing her, I never said anything about that woman. And the reason why I refused to drag her like that was because this person, if she is a mother, if she is going to be somebody's parent, I'm not going to sit up here and drag this person and make them feel bad about a life situation that happened to them. First of all, it's none of our business. Let's just get that out there. It's none of our business. But I do see that if there's a lot of people that wanted to see this person go down because they didn't like what this person had to say about black men. Now, I have my issues with this person, my personal issues. And if I was a low-down, dirty bitch, I could have weaponized her situation against her and went on my channel and pumped up my subs. I could have blew my channel out going in on her situation. But why would I want to tear another sister down like that, knowing that this is a woman with a child and she's a parent? And this is what I said yesterday. I said that when we have black women, when we have black families, 'cause I'm all about families, we can't sit up here and say that we love our children and we care about black children, but we are not fostering strong environments for them to have strong households. You can't sit up here and tear down the parent and then expect that household to be strong. So I would never go after a single parent just for the fact that they are a single parent. Now what I would do is I would give them the tools to be a better parent. Because what is the point of me dragging that person when the damage is already done? And see, this is what a lot of you all, I can't understand why black people cannot walk and chew gum at the same time. If a person is already in a situation, what is the point of saying you shouldn't have done it? Right, that's dog piling on the individual, and that's already under attack. Exactly. You're exacerbating an already bad situation. Now, what I see in a lot of these women's situation, we're sitting up here dog piling on people who are actually capable of taking care of a child by themselves. I'm talking about grown women with great careers, and they have the ability to provide a stable household. Now, I don't know why we would be dragging those people for our own personal beliefs, but that would be none of our business. Once again, black people, sometimes we're dragging people, we got our nose stuck in other people's business, and it's none of our business. Now, if I see a woman in her 30s or 40s and she so happens to find herself a single parent, but that woman is financially stable, I'm not going to drag that woman. I'm not even going to drag the woman that's on welfare. Now, once again, we got the white woman, Octomom. Nobody hardly ever said anything about her. And I'm talking about that woman goes on record as being the most ratchet abuser of the system, because she did not only utilize the system to get a welfare check, but she utilized the system to impregnate herself so that she can get the welfare check. And that was a white woman. But I don't see nobody in white society dragging her. As a matter of fact, and this is what I talked about yesterday on my channel. As a matter of fact, white society got together and they gave that woman gifts. They sent her money. They sent her people to help her with those children because they were more concerned about the children being born in that situation than they were concerned about dragging that woman, because they knew that this woman was their parent and she had to be in a mindset to take care of those babies that she bought here, that she knowingly bought here. Now, it didn't matter about the circumstances of how she did it, but in white society, that's how they feel about their children. They're going to try to foster a good household, a strong household, so that those children can thrive in. And to me, that makes a lot of sense. It makes way more sense than dragging the person and you know that they're taking care of our precious cargo. I view our children as precious cargo. Now, Sansaray is gone. We dragged her, we dogpiled on her for years after she had her child. And now what do those children have to show for? Those children are the ones that are going to suffer the most because their mother is no longer here. Because we had a hand in beating her down. We don't even know what all else she had to deal with, but we didn't have to add to it. And so today, I'm not going to make my video too long because there are other things that I really want to focus on, but I really want to bang this one home, and I want to bang it home as best as I possibly can, but I want to put this out here. Black people, we have got to start focusing on strong families, period. And when I say strong families, I mean whether the family be a single parent family or a two parent family, we have to start focusing on building and creating strong families, period, in our communities. Because we got a lot of weak two parent households out here that we're not even talking about. We got some weak two parent households. So now, if we can't even get it together in a two parent household, then why in the hell are we so concerned about these one parent households all of a sudden? We got weak families, period, in our communities. And it starts with the psychological mindset of how we deal with dysfunction in our community. Other communities, they nip dysfunction in the bud. They're not concerned too much about how a child got here. They just want to know that the child is in a stable environment. Cookie Monster says, right, just like the Teen Mom reality TV show, most of those teen moms were white. Exactly. But they had familial support nonetheless. Moreover, their community supported them. Exactly. But here over in our community, our families, period, don't get any type of support. And that is the reason why our children are not doing as well as other children in other races and other communities, because we don't have the support. We're too busy pumping up the dysfunction. We're too busy like crabs in a barrel tearing each other down, that we're not building strong families. We don't have the mental capacity to do it, it seems like. So when I talk to my black people, I'm talking to black men, I'm talking to black women. We've got to come out of this gender warring, because this gender warring is not propelling us forward at all. We're just sitting up here projecting our own personal hurts on each other. Black women, we're sitting up here projecting every man that we've dealt with onto strangers that we've never met before. Okay, every man ain't your baby daddy. I just want to put that out there. Black men, every woman ain't Big Booty Keisha that wouldn't give you the time of day back in 1987. You know, we keep wanting to put other people down based off our own personal experiences, and we make every person that we meet that person because they remind us of that person that hurt us. You guys, you know, I really think that all black people really need to seek some sort of emotional counseling. I really do, because in our community, it's taboo for us to say we need to go and seek some kind of help with our psyche. But in Sansare's case, and I just want to keep highlighting her because she was an adult. She was a full-grown adult, and she had psychological issues. She could have benefited from going to see someone, a professional. She could have benefited from professional help. But because in the black community we don't seek out counseling like white people do, and that's the other thing. In other societies and other racial groups, they don't think it's taboo to go and seek counseling for emotional issues. But in our spaces, we treat emotional issues like, oh, that ain't nothing. You letting that bother you? We sit up and berate each other because we're going through something. And we just think that we could just shake it off. Black people, we're just strong like that. I've heard that many times. I've heard us saying that many times. Many times I've heard black people saying, oh, black people, we don't commit suicide. We're strong. Oh, we don't have to go see a psychiatrist. We're strong like that. Gia Girl says we are seen as strong and not needing help. Exactly. But we do. I think that we need help more so than any other community out there. We got so much rape, incest, so much abuse in our communities that we just sweep under the rug. And then on top of that, when we become adults, we have to deal with life. And we're already a group of poor people. Majority of us are poor. So we're dealing with dysfunction in childhood, and then we're growing up poor, and then we become adults, and then we still have to deal with that trauma as adults. And what do? The trauma has to go somewhere, because all of that is energy. And in metaphysics, energy never dies. It just gets transferred into something else. So now we got a bunch of adults running around here with this negative energy, and we're pouring it out onto each other. That's what the black community is in a nutshell. So, like I said, I don't want to make my videos too long, but I just want to drive home the point that black people, we got to start taking mental health seriously. And also we got to start thinking before we talk to each other, before we start saying these things to each other. We really need to think. Exactly. It manifests into our daily lives, in our interactions, and then we wonder how come our marriages don't last long. We wonder how come we can't foster successful relationships between black men and black women. All this trauma. We're dealing with a lot. And I say it a lot of times, in my videos, that if we can't learn to love ourselves, we can't love nobody else. And black women sitting up here, we're dealing with all this pain. And I told somebody else, because a lot of black men think that black women have babies for monetary gain. And I'm trying to tell you today, that is not true. Many of these black women, the ones that are poor, a lot of these guys that they're dealing with don't have nothing either. They're not having these babies for monetary gain. I'm telling you, it's psychological. They want somebody to love, and they want somebody to love them back. Young black girl can't get love from her family because a lot of times it's her family that's hurt her. So then she reaches out and thinks she's going to get love from a man. And when that doesn't work, she thinks, okay, this baby is going to love me. It's psychological. We got a lot of deep-rooted psychological pain in our communities that drive us a lot of times to make the poor decisions that we make. Yes, Gia Girl, and sometimes our own mothers are jealous of us, and aunts. And you got to watch some of these older women and the advice that they're giving, because a lot of them are giving advice out of jealousy. And I was a product of that. I had a female family member that was jealous of me when I was a teenager because I was a younger black woman. And it was because she dealt with some trauma, and I reminded her of herself. But instead of her giving me good advice, she didn't want to see me doing better than her. So you got to watch out for that too. So it's too much trauma in our communities. So those of us that have voices on here and we are stable minded individuals, if we can put out positive messages uplifting one another, that would help. But these people like Tommy Sotomayor and, these gender warring idiots that like to keep things going between black men and black women, these guys that sit up here and call 14-year-old black girls women, and with that whole DJ Pope situation, telling black women that they're women at 14 and those girls were whores. Those are the people that perpetuate the dysfunction. And we got to start calling it out. Now, I had been calling it out for a long time, and I've been getting whipped on quite a bit in these YouTube streets because I've been about the only person standing on it by myself. I get whipped on a lot. But I feel it's important to voice. When you see the dysfunction, you have to speak out on it. If you make the environment uncomfortable for the dysfunction to fester in, then that is how you deal with doing away with it. But if you become complacent with it, if you start sweeping things under the rug, if you're doing things to fit into the boys' club, that's not going to help. All you're doing is you're adding fuel to the fire. You're putting one more log in the cinder. And Cookie Monster, I don't mind it. I'm built for it. I'm strong. And I have a strong family background. Sometimes I look like a damn fool out here. But, sometimes you have to be willing to look the fool in order to right wrongs. And that's what a lot of people are afraid of. They're afraid that if they speak, somebody's going to drag them. Somebody's going to say something about their looks. They're going to dox them. They're going to tear them down. That a lot of people are afraid to speak out because of little things like that, because they're so afraid of what these people online are going to say about them. But when you really look at it and you put it into perspective, these people are just on the internet, guys. Never allow yourself or allow your voice to be silenced over some people on the damn internet. If you're afraid to speak your piece because of some people on the internet, then you got some deep psychological issue going on with yourself. Never be afraid to stand in your truth. Cookie, I know you're immune to the dragon. Girl, I have seen you in real time. Woo-wee, girl. Gia Girl said they won't speak their piece offline either because of their fear. Correct. And there were times, like even offline, I have been in situations where I had to interject myself on a child's behalf. I had neighbors, that I saw, being abusive to their children. And every time I saw those children, I mean, you could just, walk around the corner and they're jumping. These are kids, when kids are jumpy like that, when you see children that seem to be scared of their own shadows, usually those are children that are being abused. And you also have to take note of that in your communities. Don't be afraid to interject yourself if that means that you're going to be saving the life of a child. Because I've had to interject myself on more than one occasion. I've had people's 3-year-olds coming up to me, cursing me out, calling me the B word. And I have checked the parent. I don't say anything to the child because I know the child don't know no better. But that parent is gonna get all the flame because bitch, that's you. That is a reflection of you. And we have to speak up on behalf of our children. And that's the thing. Black people, we've gotten to this whole, and I'm sorry, I didn't even mean to go over this far. I'm 40 minutes in still. I said I was going to go a long time ago, but that's the other thing. These are our children. Sansa Ray's kids, I'm saddened for them because the only parent that was in their life taking care of them is gone. And I feel that we had a hand in that. We don't know what else she was dealing with, but we didn't have to dog pile on that. We didn't have to make that situation worse. There should have been somebody that could have talked to her and encouraged her and uplifted her. Not saying that it would have solved all the other problems that was going on in her life, but we definitely didn't need no Tommy Sotomayor's and Minister Japs running around here making it that much worse. And so now we got two beautiful black children with no parent at all. Because according to Sansa Ray, the father, he wasn't very much involved. So I feel sorry for those children. But I look at all little black children as our children. The same way that white people, they look at all white children as being part of the community. That's the reason why when little white kids go up for adoption, their people are adopting them left and right. We don't want our kids. Our kids go up for adoption, white people adopting our kids. And then treating them like their pets. Kevin Paris and Terrell, I really hope too that he's more involved because the fact of the matter is black men, they sit up here and they talk a good game, and I'm not saying all black men are deadbeat fathers because I know some pretty great black men who are great fathers, but as a collective, the black men sitting up here bragging about being the best fathers of all, that is not true. Not true at all. And I broke that down in a few videos about that whole, how can I say, that study by the CDC when they were talking about black fathers being the best fathers of all. They did not break down clear enough for the people that don't understand how to crunch numbers that they were talking to a very small group of black men, and it was an opinion poll. So these are black men that they interviewed and asked questions. And I don't know anybody that's going to say that they are deadbeat father. But a lot of these fathers that took the opinion poll, of the fathers that were in that poll, very few of them lived with their children. The ones that did not live with their children on a day-to-day basis, they were not as involved as the fathers that were in their children's lives on a day-to-day basis. So that opinion poll is not very, how can I say, reliable. But black men like to take that opinion poll, because that's exactly what it was, and they want to use it like it's the gospel. But in reality, black men did not start giving a damn until child support laws kicked in all the way. The system was fully up and running and functioning, and they were being held financially responsible. All of a sudden, they started caring about being in their children's lives when their money was on the line. But before a child support system was up and running in the 80s and the 90s, when they could just kick rocks, they could just skip town, they could just switch jobs, and they could fly under the radar. They weren't caring then. Oh, he's married with no other children. So if she was so mentally ill, why didn't he seek custody of his child? Because he ain't care enough to. Exactly. And just like that one black man that did that video about his baby mama, the ball player, I forget his name. I'm having a brain fart right now. But he was up there high bitching about how terrible his three black baby mamas were. And my whole thing is, if they were that terrible and you got all this money, because there are a lot of black men that's not blessed to have all that money. You got all this money that you could actually get the legal counsel to get custody of your kids and you could see your kids. But you opted for the payout. How is it that you're going to opt to give this money to pay these women off, but you don't put no money towards getting custody if seeing your kids was so important to you? Now here you are all these years later talking about you got grown children in college that you don't see. But you had money to pay off the mothers, but you didn't have money to seek custody. Exactly. 3 baby mamas and no wife. So, you guys, you got to read in between the lines. Like I said, I'm for building strong black families. And the only way to build strong black families is to call out the bullshit. And I'm just going to say it. A lot of these black men complaining about not being able to see their kids. The woman stopped him from seeing his kids, and that's the reason why he ain't in their life. He's just going to vote with his feet and leave and all this type of stuff. I'm just going to pay the child support. Those are cop-outs. You didn't want to be there anyway. Let's just tell the truth and shame the devil. You weren't going to be there anyway. And so now you're going to, because you are a demon, you're a bastard, you want to bastardize the woman. Because you're a deadbeat, you want to make it seem like it's the woman that's wrong. And see, this is what we're not calling out. Now, when I call it out in these YouTube streets, I'm a battler. I sit up here and I argue. I battle when I argue. I call it out, and they get mad at me. They tell me I emasculate them. They call me an emasculator. I could care less. I'm going to tell the truth. If you a man talking about you ain't seeing your kids because a woman not letting you, you're deadbeat. Plain and simple, no excuses. No amount of she said this and she said that. It's not going to run from me. Cookie Monster says because there is no one on this earth that can stop you from being involved in your child's life if that's what you want to do. Exactly. But they don't want to. And that's the big underlying thing. The underlying issue is that they don't want to, but they can't come out and say it. They can't come out and say, I just don't want to be a father. So then they have these panels and they discuss why women have all the say over their bodies. If it's their body, their choice, then we should have financial abortions. They come around with all these different excuses for the fact that they don't want to be responsible for what they did. So now they screaming men's equality. And here's the thing, it can never be equal. And I keep trying to tell these fools this, but they know it. It can't be equal because men don't carry babies. And because you don't carry babies, it's never going to be equal as far as that is concerned. But it is equitable. Women are held responsible from day one, from the time we get the test results back that we're pregnant. We're held responsible because that baby is attached to us. Is that fair? No. But what makes it equitable is that we can go after the fathers who try to run and make him financially responsible. That makes it equitable. It's not equal, but it's equitable. And those of you that continue to want to get out of your financial responsibility, you're just going to have to deal with it. Because the same way that you all sit up here and you tell women that we use the system, we use taxpayers' dollars for our poor choices. Well, now you're sitting up here wanting to have a financial abortion. Isn't that the same thing? Why should I, a taxpayer, be responsible for your seed? Why would I vote for you to have a financial abortion when I had no part in you making that baby? See, when men sit up here and they talk about women wanting to use the system for their fuck-ups, men don't understand that when they talk about financial abortions, that's essentially what they're doing too. And I submit to you today, they really don't have a problem with welfare. Because before child support laws were in place, black men used welfare as a proxy for them being there, and they had no problem with it then. Reading what Cookie Monster said, she said they used the bad blood with the child's mother as a way to scapegoat their responsibilities and obligations for their children. Right, they overstand those child support deductions from their paychecks, though. Exactly. Exactly. So now when we sit up here and we demonize black women for being single mothers, we are basically demonizing the person that was left holding the bag. And that's what Sansa Ray, she pretty much exemplifies all the black women that were left holding the bag and held up to the microscope for it, bashed for it. She's trying to be the best mother that she can be. She's on YouTube. She's trying to make that extra money, and she's bashed for it. Meanwhile, the baby father, did Tommy Sotomayor stalk the baby father? Did anybody go and stalk that nigga that helped knock her up? Was anybody calling him a deadbeat daddy? Making videos about deadbeat fathers 24 hours a day and putting his name in the title? You know, those are things that make you go, right? But then black men will swear up and down that black women are not being held accountable. I think it's the other way around. I think that black men are not held accountable enough. Kevin Paris said that Tommy interviewed him. And see, I don't even know about that interview, but I know about the many, many, many videos that he did about Sansa Ray. But did Tommy stalk that man like he stalked Sansa Ray? That's what I want to know. Yeah, I believe that too, Cookie. They gave him excuses and passes for his deadbeatism. They do it all the time. They make excuses for themselves. And then to cover their deadbeatism, they use the woman as a cover. Black men are real good at hiding behind their women to hide their failures. They will throw us under the bus in a minute to hide their own failures. And that's also dysfunction in our community. And I had a guy the other day on Bernard's channel, I believe it was Edward. Edward was arguing with me about patriarchy. And here's the thing. You guys are always hiding behind black women, using us as the reason why you didn't build your own patriarchy. We stopped you. We wouldn't let you. And so on Bernard's panel, I said that argument, when you guys make that argument, I said that makes you look weak. Because there's no other men, no other group, no other race of men saying that their women stopped them from building their patriarchy. They just did it. And to me, there's no such thing as a matriarchy or a gynocracy. That's what they call it, gynocracy. There's no such thing. Black people didn't have anything in this country. We haven't established anything for ourselves here. We invented a lot of things. We contributed, but we never carved out our own niche. Every time we try to carve out our own niche, our culture was taken and appropriated from us, and other groups profited from it. Exactly. And they did it for their groups, women and children. So, as much as people, didn't like Sansaray, I listened to a lot of her content. And all she did was try to uplift women who found themselves in her situation, because she understood how women in her situation were beat down and made to feel a certain type of way about being mothers. Whereas women in other groups, if they found themselves to be single mothers, they had the community to support them. Good morning, Sheila E. They had support. Other communities care about strong families, period. Black people in our community, we don't care. We don't have an idea of what a strong family is. I see a lot of black people online pontificating like they know, but they really don't know, because if we knew what a strong family was, we would value the single parent family as well as the two parent family. And we would understand that we don't have any control over the dynamics of how people build their families. The only thing we have control over is in fostering a healthy environment for those families to thrive. Everybody else gets that memo but us. But at any rate, I'm going on a whole hour with y'all. A. Hume says it starts at home. Exactly, it does. But it also starts with the community. If you have a poor group with hardly any resources, and you have a lot of single families in that group, it would behoove us to tear down the majority of our family. How can I say? What our family structure is. Like it or not, majority of our family structure consists of single parent households. Now, we could change the structure by promoting two parent households, but we shouldn't be promoting two parent households by tearing down the current structure that we have. You don't tear down the current structure in order to build something new. You strengthen what you have, and then you gradually change it over to the new structure. But what we're doing is we're tearing down the main structure, gutting it out, and we have, as a result, people opting out of life and leaving our children vulnerable. Or we have people using escapism by via drugs and alcohol, because they don't like their reality, because we keep harping on it, harping on it, harping on it. So they use escapism, and they're not present in that way for the children. None of that builds strong families. But if we can make the reality pleasant for everyone involved, so that everyone involved can have all hands on deck, then we're winning. Same to you, Cookie Monster. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. This is exactly 1 hour after I said I was going to be gone. I'm about to enter into a zone anyway that's getting ready to chop up. So I know that my signal was going to go out anyways. But I do thank everybody that came into the chat to support me. Let me see who run off the names here. Skinny Boy K, thank you for joining. TP Judah, Kevin Paris, Internal. Sister George, what's up? The one, the only Cookie Monster TV. The real Aaron Collins. Thank you all for joining me. I do appreciate each and every person that comes in and takes the time to listen. I know that you could be doing anything with your time, but you're here. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Gia Girl, I did not forget you. And Joe W., thank you as well. But I'm going to go ahead and sign off because I do know I'm going to hit these mountains pretty soon. But I love all of you. Please keep the things that I'm saying in mind. And don't forget to tune in to Sansa Ray's channel later today. At 9 a.m. I believe it's going to be 9 a.m. I don't know what time zone, but go over there and listen to that interview. All right, guys. God bless all of you, and you have a great morning.